James.
Well, Liz, I mean, looking at Britain and looking at Australia, how far away is your impression that we are here in Australia from, suffering or seeing now, we're seeing the real rebellion of people in the United Kingdom, the massive patriotic marches, the flag movement, all of these things to protest and say we want to preserve the Britain that we know and love, we want it back. How far away are we, do you think, in Australia from that? And in Britain, is reform, would you go and do something with the Reform Party?
So in Britain, it's feeling existential. It is feeling existential about whether or not our country remains like it is or falls apart. That is how bad it is. And people have given up on the main political parties. So Conservatives and Labour are now both about 16% in the polls each, and Reform is on 34%. So there has been a complete... So when I see what's happening here, I think that's where Britain was a few years ago, frankly, that people still have some kind of faith in the main political parties. That has now been lost in Britain because neither party has stood up to the globalist blob. And I talked about what happened to me as Prime Minister, but those forces are very powerful, they're very dominant in Britain, and we are seeing now a popular uprising against them. And our economy is in serious trouble. We're probably headed for an IMF bailout where we are. So things are very, very bad in Britain, worse than they are in Australia. But I think that is a galvanizing force.
Can I reiterate, would you work with Reform? Would you get back into politics?
I've technically...
That's a yes, and that's fine. Say, yeah, that's great. I'll take a yes anytime. You heard it here first.
I've only been out of politics 1 year, and I don't feel like I've really left politics. I spend all my time talking about politics. But my point about Nigel Farage, who is, he's the bookies' favourite to be next Prime Minister in Britain, if it is the case that he ends up in number 10 and the system doesn't change, if the bureaucrats remain the same, if all the Blairite laws stay in place, the Human Rights Act, the Equality Act, nothing will change. So what my obsession is how do we achieve a counter-revolution in Britain? Because the left have had a revolution. The Marxists have taken over the judiciary, the civil service, the police, with their wokery, with net zero zealotry, with Islamism. And that is what we need to take back. So we don't just need foot soldiers in Parliament. We need foot soldiers to actually take on the bureaucracy and have a movement that is actually going to overturn what's happened.
Well, Liz, just...
So I see myself as on the front line of the counter-revolution.
So for
exactly what role I will take, we will see.
Very, very quickly, do Conservatives need to then say, getting out of all of these international agreements, including refugee agreements,
yes.
This is the way to get this happening?
Yes, because the left have used this as a tool for the last 50 years. It was Harold Wilson, a Prime Minister in Britain you may or may not have heard of, who first allowed Brits to appeal directly to the European Court of Human Rights. It was in the 1960s. So they've been planning this for a long time, and we've been asleep at the wheel, and we've been accommodating them and saying, oh, yes, we're concerned about human rights. Oh, yes, we're concerned about equality. Oh, yes, we're concerned about these environmental issues. Meanwhile, they've just been taking ground. So, yes, we do. These agreements are not fit for purpose. The asylum agreements, the refugee agreements, the human rights agreements, none of them are fit for purpose.
Liz Truss.
And they have been tools that the left has used against us. So the left has weaponized lawfare, they've weaponized human rights, and now they're even killing people. I mean, that is how bad it has got.
Liz Truss, we've got to leave it there. I'll just remind you that it was on Outsiders at CPAC in 2019 that we told Nigel Farage he would be the next Prime Minister of Britain. They're just saying that was only 6 years ago. We're always on the money. Liz Truss.
You weren't technically right, were you? He wasn't the next Prime Minister.
That's right. There you go. We'll see you again soon. Thank you so
Very
much.
good.
It's fantastic.
Thank you.
Liz Truss.
Thank you.